welcome back to part 2 of the Ducati Radiogram restoration. I've already done the radio chassis, tidied that up. Now we've got to deal with a rather broken speaker, and I've still got Bluetooth to put in it. Let's see how we get on. When I took the speaker out, I found a few problems, the worst of which is the speaker cone's actually starting to tear in these corners. I don't think you can recone it, it's far too old, so I need to restore this or somehow stop the spread of it. The other part is the glue's gone around the edge of the suspension, which is actually might be a help because it helps me take it apart. But another concern I need to address is the actual speaker cone here. That scratchy noise is not good, and nor is that rust down there. I think this pole piece in the middle is actually just corroded, and there's just rust particles dragging on there, so I think I need to take the cone off here and completely strip this. So I'm going to start by unsoldering this wire here and this one here. Come on, behave. I think the red and the green are just soldered in the back of this. Yes, they are. So I can just fish the red and green wires out of there for the magnet, and in theory I think I can just undo this screw here, and same again here. And that should be the magnet away. So this is the air gap, and I think there's a bit of rust in there, so I need to take these screws out. Oh. I'll see what happens now. Well, that's off. Oh, I'm actually surprised. I've taken speakers apart before, like very old ones, and there's been things like cardboard in here, like old cake boxes and things. This has actually got cork. Professional job. Now hopefully this will just lift out. Nice, it does. This end section here where it's being machined is where the voice coil travels up and down. And you can see around here it's a bit rusty. Some corrosion's got in it, it feels a bit rough. So I'm just going to see if I can just clean that up. We'll try a bit of wet and dry paper now. There, this is rusted as well, so this will be rubbing against the outside of the voice coil, so need to clean that up. After cleaning the corrosion off here and just giving it a general good clean up, I want to stop it rusting again, and the same in here. It's a shame to let that go again. And a little tip I was given by my old man was to put some car polish on it. That's probably more than I need. Oh well, put plenty on. The idea of this was it will leave a bit of wax coating on here which will protect it from any sort of damp and stop corrosion forming. Much like it does on your car. I guess you sort of put it on and leave it to dry a little bit. Do the same with this. This is an easy part to do. So I'll take these screws off here, as there's a retaining ring underneath, keeping the cone in. I'm going to see if I can gently tease this up without causing any more damage. So that's coming quite free. Let's see if I can just tease it a bit with this. See the old glue breaking up. There we are, we're free. Oh, this feels so delicate. Now I'm going to see if I can fix the speaker cone, stop it deteriorating anymore. Biggest issue is these tears that are propagating from around the edges here, and there's one in each corner. There's another one there, and another one there. So you've got a hole there, and there, and I've got a little puncture mark there. That's not great. So if I can patch them up. I'm going to do that from the other side though, I think. Well, my plan is to use this paper. This is like a coffee filter paper. It's quite flexible and quite strong. I don't think it's going to affect the speaker too much, and I'm just going to use it to reinforce down these cracks, and especially over the insulation, so it retains its properties, hopefully. So I'm going to start by seeing if I can just put a little bit of watered down PVA glue just into the crack itself, just to fuse it together. Sort of give that a wiggle around so it can travel through to the other side. Okay. Now I'm going to paste up this patch I've cut. It's essentially like making your own masking tape. Just going to use this brush to push the patch into these little creases. We've got a little puncture mark there. I don't know how serious that one is, or how it happened. I'm just going to patch it in the same way. And another one. And a hole there. Oh, it's like it's been in the wall. Although it's survived one, hasn't it? And I've just noticed this has got tiny holes in it. I mean, woodworm have had a go at the speaker as well. Oh god. Here's little holes here. I think some little creatures ate those in. It looks a bit like a patchwork quilt now, but it certainly feels a bit less floppy. It's still got quite good compliance, so I'm quite pleased with how it's come out. But I'm tempted to give this a coating of maybe a thin wipe of PVA just to strengthen it. I mean, this part doesn't move really, it's just around the suspension that needs to be flexible, so I don't think it'll do any harm. It'll certainly help stabilise it. I'm just going to use a bit of like a cotton swab to do this with. I don't want to put too much on. Well, I'm just going to leave that to dry. PVA is a nice flexible glue, so it's going to retain its sort of flexibility, which is what I want. Store this upside down so it stays flat. I'm really happy with how the speaker cone's come out. It feels a lot less fragile than it did, and I've even got a bit of a, just dusting over with some spray paint just to hide those patches a bit. But yeah, I'm quite happy. And the suspension's still working great as well. Happy days. Now the rebuild begins. Put this coil, I mean, it's a bit of a monster, isn't it? This is replaced lately with a permanent magnet, but this is how it used to be done. Just slide that over there. Perfect. And then put this on. It's got some cork sort of material there just to clamp it down. I'll just start the screws in by hand. Now I've got to get this gap round here as central as possible, otherwise I'll have trouble. I think that looks about right. There's one corner, and this corner. Yeah, I've got to get this clamping ring back on the other side of this, so it's a little bit unpleasant to do it, but sort of tease it on. Once you get half of it on, it can sort of pop over. There we go. Now I'm just going to place the basket on top, so this is roughly in position. I'm just interested in getting the holes lined up first on the outside of it. Well, it looks reasonably central at that point, so just got to get the screws into the clamping ring. Just slightly shift that into the most central position I can. Yeah, I think that's it. Now I can just nip these screws up. And now the nerve-wracking part, I've got to slide this over the coil. Be very gentle with it. Put these screws in. Now I'm just going to tip this over and see what the alignment's like. Well, it looks pretty good. Is it quiet? Yes. Perfect. Now just nip all these screws up, just make sure they're tight, because now I've got it in the right position. I don't want it to move. Last job to do is just glue the edges down. Just slightly lifting it with this little stick. I'm only going to do a little bit of like one quadrant at a time, because I don't want to force this thing out of position. A bit of a cheat for the contact adhesive. I think it's just pat it down a bit and lift it back up. Then just let that sort of go off for a few minutes. Then when you put it back down, it can grab. Got to feed these wires back down this hole here. It's getting really near the end of this speaker restoration. Let's attach these wires back in. Here's one. I can find the other wire, it's a green one. There you are. Then we have the speaker coil here, it's just soldered on here if I recall, which is the output of the transformer here. Well, I wasn't expecting to restore this, but I have now. Marvellous. Well, this seems mechanically quite sound now. Sounds healthy. I just need to test it, but I don't have anything to test an old 40 speaker apart from the original amp. Let's try it. And now the moment of truth. Oh, the bulb's just gone out. Oh. Ah, it's just loose. Well, the tuner's not doing anything. The amp's working, because we can hear the sort of background hiss, but what is going on? Oh.
in his time, so that may be playing his mind before that. He's made himself a much stronger.
Now we've got something. We've got a loose connection somewhere. And I think I found it already.
I don't know why he would be so concerned about the Man United situation.
Time today, no Sadio Mane, but this is still the champions of Africa coming to play England. What is the biggest strength in this team?
Well, the speaker's clearly working great, so I'm really happy about that. I've not got to clean this valve base up. And this, of course, is a 6A8 heptode. This is the RF amplifier. Just gently tease this out. Should probably hold it by the base. Manufactured by Sirius. I've not heard of them, but this is going to be very old. It actually looks in really good condition. The pins don't look bad at all. I think it's just the socket that's dodgy. Can't see that from the top. I'm not sure how I'm going to clean that. I just taken this barbecue skewer and sanded it down to be the same diameter of the pins on the valve, which is about 2.3mm. And just want to see if I can just poke them in and just see if I can just get any of the muck off there. There's a bit of black coming off there. I'll put some contact cleaner in them. Some of these pins look like they've stretched. Might need to just slightly squeeze them up to a better connection. Let's try it now.
Play without that pressure, hopefully we might get to see a bit more from them.
I just read that Darius Tizimak...
That was for a medal. That was the third place playoff.
No problems now. That's some sort of digital transmission. I don't know what it is. That's what you get on these bands now. It's worth pointing out this receiver only goes about 20 megahertz. It's pretty obsolete and it won't go anywhere near modern FM stuff. It's not even FM tuner. So I think the radio section is about done now, so I'm going to just clean up the front fascia just to get the dust and muck out of it, and then we'll look at the Bluetooth mod. The glass is clamped in by these two retainers here. Just unscrew them. And it will probably slide out just after being slackened off. It's got a collection of sort of dust in here, which I don't know if it's corrosion or what, but it seems to be coming off the surface nicely. I'm not going to do any more than just brush this off, because this screen printing on here, I don't know if it will stand up to many modern solvents, so yeah, be very gentle with this. This backlight bulb keeps coming on and off because it's loose, but you can't get your hand in to tighten it up, so whilst we're here, I'm just going to unscrew this completely, get it out of my way, if it will come. The top's got to, oh no, that'll do. That will do. Now we can screw the bulb in. It seems a bit of a faff really. It's a like quarter of a turn. Oh well, it's done. The glass on the other hand I'm not so worried about, that's going to get a good old dosing. Feels a lot better already. It was very gritty. You can't really see on the camera, but it did feel bad. Let's do the other side as well. Put the covers back on these valves before I forget. Just before I finish with this chassis, I'm going to solder on some wires so I can pick up the AC power so it's switched off the front with everything else. So that would be, there's the live that comes on this tapping here. And now onto the high-tech part of this restoration. We're sticking the Bluetooth in this little module here. I've done these before. I've got an interface board which I'm just going to solder up. Right, as normal, just put a bit of this flux all over the place. Just helps the solder to flow. I probably put way too much on it. I'm just going to tin all the pads. Just a bit of solder on the iron. Starting this tiny bridge rectifier. So we'll just stick that onto the pads and just tack it on. I can spin it round. Oh, where's it gone? got too much zoom on this. Now the regulator goes on. Just get it lined up right. Let's tack that leg on and that one. Once I've got two pins on, I'm quite happy just to hold it down and just warm the whole lot up. That's great like that. And just rotate it a bit. Warm this pad up here. And it's on. This one here, a little 100 nanofarad cap, just to deal with the high frequency noise. Now I'm fitting the op-amp chip, which is a TL, what is it, TL072. Just a straightforward dual op-amp. Another cap's got to go on. That's putting some small signal transistors on there, these little SOT23 devices. And this one is a BC847. I need a pair of Darlington transistors. They all look the same. They all come on this tape stuff and it's difficult to get them out. There we go. The Darlington transistors are going to locations Q4 and Q6. So you want to find Q4. There it is in the corner this there. Q6. And finally, to put the Bluetooth module on, this tiny thing here, You just have to sort of align that on top of there, pretty much like that. Lovely. Now all the surface mount parts are on, it's the perfect time to clean all this sort of slimy flux off. So I'm just going to put it in a dish there and just spray it with some isopropyl alcohol. Just let that soak for a bit. I can just go over it with a brush, scrub it all off. I designed this interface circuit quite a while ago, and it's to handle the sort of misgivings of the Bluetooth module, which slightly misbehaves in my opinion. One of the issues, if you're playing tracks and all that and there's a slight pause in between them, it actually drops the mute signal, and if you're using that to switch the signal in and out, which I am, that can be quite disruptive. So basically all this circuit does is handle the timing here. So there's a turn on delay, so it mutes the board when it's doing its stupid turn on sounds. It'll switch over to the Bluetooth output as soon as it starts to play, and I've also got a little circuit in there which will sort of ignore the little pauses in between tracks. So that's really what this is doing. All analog, of course, no computer chips in here. It's just simple caps charging up. And this outputs a stereo signal, so this circuit is designed to handle it. But in this application, it's only mono, this old radiogram, so we don't need to populate everything on here. So I've only got this little box of bits to fit. It's all through-hole stuff, so nice and easy. It's going to fit the little gain adjuster here, because we never know what output level we need. This has got to match the output level of the electric pickup on the radiogram. Fit this little reed relay. This switches the signal from the Bluetooth and the record player. Then of course we've got some capacitors here. This actually runs from an AC supply, and this generates the dual rails. So I think this is something like plus or minus 12 volts. Then I've got a 5-volt regulator to power the Bluetooth module. And there's a capacitor for that. And the rest of them are all just time delay stuff really. Last two parts, these are capacitors. Just going to pop some wires on here so I can test it. Which was a good idea to do before you build it into the final thing and have a load of problems. Just connecting a plus and minus 12 volt supply to this. So I don't have AC, but you know, I trust the bridge rectifier to work. Unlike this clip here. Okay. Well, that looks promising. And now at my favourite time, putting it back together. I've got this plywood base in, so it fits exactly at the side of the radio chassis in there. Nice. I'm just going to mount the Bluetooth board on here. Hopefully these line up. Bit of a wiggle. Well, I probably don't need the nuts on. Just got to put a link in between the two secondaries on the transformer. That'll be our common. Solder those in. Put some little insulators over the terminals there, in case someone sticks their hands in. Just shrink these. And because it's such a small transformer, I'm sticking a 200 milliamp fuse in. More than enough. So I'm going to connect the input signal from the record player just into there. And also we need a ground connection. Actually, that's a bit frayed. Let's tidy that up. Then we bring in the original output into the chassis. This one's to be joined to this ground on here as well. Just put a bit of solder about halfway up. And just... there we go. Now that is ready. Just pop in there. Well, moments of truth. Well, that's working. Find something a little less copyright infringing. Well, that's working brilliantly. I can't fault it now. I'm really happy with it. Not the loudest Ducati, I think, but it makes more noise than it did. Catch you next time.